Ciao, I'm Maurizio and I'm the Agrichef on Wales, and today we will talking of a very important part of Christmas Eve in Italy, which is concentrated mainly in fish. From south to north of Italy, fish play the Christmas Eve dinner. We will do two recipes today. Some fantastic scallop with green apple juice and fresh green apple as a starter, and a fish stew, which I think is the most to keep the family together on Christmas Eve. We need starting with to do the bisque. It's a long process, but it's not a difficult one. We're gonna have some head and tail of langoustine. You can get prawns, you can get lobster, and when we got all the head, tails and claws from langoustine, you put it in oven and almost burn them, so the flavor it will get out. In a pan, we're gonna put a bit of extra virgin olive oil. When they are absolutely burnt and they start to almost stick to the tray, we're gonna have some celery, white onion and carrots. What we're going to do with these is just chop it roughly and just put in the pan, sweat them off and add our langoustine. On that point, we just need to add water and reduce it at least half of it. When it's reduced, we can blitz all the content and pass it through a very fine sieve, so we only got the liquid, and that is our bisque. When you're doing at home, if you do while it's a long process, why you don't do a really good amount and just freeze it? Freeze it on the portion you think you need, and you go fresh bisque all the time, because it will be a very long cooking time. We're talking probably about 3 hours on a very low flame to cook it. So we have all our ingredients and we add to our pan. We add our langoustine with the bean in oven, and almost just cover with water to completely cover, and we're gonna put these in the stove and leave it to simmer for about 3 hours until it's reduced about in half. Of course, the timing, it depends on the size of the bisque you put in on. So but when it's reduced to half, your bisque will be ready. Right, we have in our very good starter, which I think will have the wow factor on your guest. We got some fresh king scallops. Of course, take the raw out. With the raw, you can just cook it or just put it in oven on a very low temperature until it's completely dry. And after, just with your fingertip, just do a powder, and that could be a really nice garnish. Or just cook it together. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally like it. We have some spring onion, which has been peeled and cleaned, and we got a green apple. Keep the skin of the green apple is being washed. So first of all, we're gonna put some extra virgin olive oil in a pan. We need to sweat our spring onion. Cut the spring onion on an angle, so we're gonna have a nice measure of our spring onion. They just need to sweat. They don't have to cook completely, and that will give how I can call this dish is the memory of a summer on Christmas Eve. It's very fresh, but we got the apple, which they're really healthy and they're really good. They're really tangy, really juicy, this apple. So we're going to put on the hot pan our spring onion, leave it to sweat a bit, not too much. We add in a tiny bit of salt, tiny bit of black pepper, and lemon juice. Leave the lemon in, it's fine. While they are sweating, we're gonna cut our apple. Dice the apple very, very, very thin. that will need the apple for our decoration of the dish. What I've done with the apple juice, which we go green apple juice, you get 2 apples, a bit of olive oil, and a tiny bit of water. Take off the core of the apple, just cut in little dice and blitz it. Pass it through a sieve and you obtain the pure apple juice, which is very fresh. They give a good fresh of the dish. Now we need to cook our scallop. Our scallop I always do it with extra virgin olive oil because it stays more light and is a very good complement to our dish. Get the pan on a generous temperature, not too high, but the pan needs to be very hot. Patch dry the scallop all over. You see I've left it on a towel so they absorb all the excess of water, and that is it give a better way to cook the scallop. Now we got our spring onion, they're sweating gently. Now when the temperature is quite hot of the oil, we just start to put our scallop in. Add tiny bit of salt, tiny bit of black pepper. They don't have to cook for too long, the scallops. So put it always on the flat side, and when they start to color, we just flipping it over a couple of times. So can you see the just swelling, inflating a tiny bit, which is really good. In the meantime, we got our onion. They are absolutely ready. And in a minute, we're going to plate our dish. To decorate, you can get some baby leaf salad or cut your apple very thin, whichever you prefer. Scallop, they're nearly ready. That is a dish you need to be served very hot. We got our plate in here. So it takes so little to cook the scallop, and when they're ready, okay. Now we put in apple juice on the bottom of our dish. We put the green apple, and we're going to put the spring onion, and we're going to put our scallop. We can decorate them with some apple and some micro baby leaves, and we got a lovely starter. Today we're gonna do a nice Christmas Eve dish, which is a must in Italy, is a fish stew. So we have mussels, clams, baby octopus, calamari, king prawns, cod, and red prawns. We're starting to do the base, which we have shallot, which we're gonna cut in little dice. Peppers, I'll put yellow peppers because they give a color. Because we got a bit of tomato sauce, we got cherry tomato, they're all red, so a bit of color, it won't do any damage. We just cut the cherry tomato in half so they release all the flavor. And we're gonna put in our pan extra virgin olive oil, leave a bit of heat, and we're gonna sweat all our ingredients. And after slowly add the fish. We got some garlic. What I usually do with the garlic, I don't cut it. I'll just squash it and we leave it as it is. And after, if you like, you can take it out. We're gonna put all our ingredients in here, sweating it gently. And start to add our fish. We start to add the mussels. Need to sweat gently all our ingredients. We start to add the mussels, which they've been cleaned before, clams. If you want, you can add a bit of white wine. Usually I'm not adding much white wine in it. And after, we can clean our prawns. If you get the king prawns, they're already cut and divine. You just need to take the shell off, like this. And for the red prawns, we just break the tail, take 3/4 of the shell off, just leave a piece next to the head because we're using the king prawns all, and take the black interior away. So don't give that bitter taste, you won't see any black on your dish. And we're gonna cut, in a minute, we're gonna cut the calamari. Remember, we need to add the fish by the time it's cooking. So we start to add the mussel, the clams, and after we're gonna add the bisque, which we've shown before how to do it. We're gonna add our bisque, leave it on a very happy flame, call it, not too high, but I would say moderate flame. A bit of tomato sauce and leave it to cook. And we'll be boiling very gently, we'll be boiling over. And we can cut our calamari. Cut it thin. We will add the calamari, king prawns and prawns at last. Calamari only take 3 minutes to cook. Either you're cooking it for 3 minutes or over 15. So we just cook it for 3 minutes. We have some parsley as well in here. So we're gonna add a tiny bit of flat leaf parsley, which I'm not really chopping it very thin. I want a bit of flavor in it. So just use the leaf, take the stalk away. And we're gonna add salt and pepper. And black pepper. Now we add in our baby octopus. All this dish will take no more than 15 minutes to cook. And we can add our cod, just a piece of cod loin. Leave it to cook and leave it to reduce a bit. on the meantime, we can get our dish ready. And it's nice to serve these with some bread. If you got the bread from the day before, just slice it, put it in oven so you get a nice crusty bread, and leave it on the side to eat with your seafood stew. We add the red prawns. Remember, prawns and calamari just take not long to cook. Generally, fish, it doesn't take long to cook. Three, 4 minutes, and that'll be ready. Now we can plate. Just need to get the bread, which I've done it before, so I don't put the oven on. Yeah. Now we got our bread, which is, well, as I said, you can use the bread from the day before, which is the best. And just put it in oven so it get really crusty. And we can use it as what we call scarpetta, basically mopping up all the sauce, which is the best bit. Now we have our fish stew, can you see, is ready. We can plate it, and after we can decorate it with some. We're starting from our cod. When you plate it, always use 2 spoons, because one, you get your food, and the other, it just help you direct and guide the ingredient on your plate. Decorate with a bit of parsley and some toasted bread. Buon appetito!